What's up YouTube, it's Nite, and today I have a Liga C match between Rexnar and Explosive. This match is a little preview for those of you that are watching this video closest to release to the event that's going to be happening this weekend. Of course, I'm talking about East versus West, and these two players are both going to be representing their teams, although I don't think either one of them are going to be playing 1v1. Let's go ahead and introduce, starting with our West player at the bottom of the map. We have our yellow Cyber Commander and a clanmate of mine. It is OSS Rexnar, spawning in and building one research station and a land factory by the looks of it. Very interesting choice already. So we will see how that pans out for him and his opponent. On the other hand of the side, and on the other side of the world, it is our blue UEF commander with the name of Rexnar. Oh, no, Rexnar. Explosive, my apologies. It is, of course, Explosive. I was already trying to think about the next thing I was going to say. Of course, Rexnar is from the US and Explosive is from Germany. And there's actually two explosives from Germany, so take that as you may. And I want to ask you guys to comment down in the description below and tell me what you think the mistake was of the losing side at the end of this video. I'll try not to be overly critical here in this game, but I do want to already point out that the starting for Emerald Crater from Rexnar is not terribly efficient, because obviously this is a big map and air is a problem. So Explosive is already getting his two air factories. He's sending out bombers. Beautiful switch. Of course, if you guys don't know who Explosive is, he's actually I don't know if he's a pro FAF player, but he's a decent, at the very least, FAF player. So micro games are his thing, because of course that game is pretty much macro. And he's already sending his planes over here to start bombing this engineer. It's a nice choice of target. Rexnar moving towards a little bit of the center of the map, but still not quite there, and building a land factory. And quite a bit of energy generators as well. I wonder what he's going for. And of course, these two players are towards the center of their respective league table. So they still have a chance. Of course, GP Smith is leading that table currently, but there are definitely some very, very formidable opponents in the table. So, and of course, that first place gets that coveted seed to the season final, which is a pretty big deal for a lot of these players. And of course, just making it there will mean, I think, a lot to these players. Good micro by Rexnar here. Of course, I would rather see him just split his units. There isn't really a need to micro them there against air like that. You're only risking them getting close together, which I think at one bombing run, they actually were for Rexnar here. Rexnar trying to get an anti-air tower. Is he going to get it? Yes, he is. So that's going to shut down that. Or Explosive continues to bomb down there. And we do see what the plan from Rexnar is. This is very reminiscent of the Amayoba build. I'm not quite sure if it's exactly that. I wasn't really actually paying attention to that. I only just realized that it's kind of reminiscent of that. So we'll see how that works out for him. Explosive already doing a great job here. Oh, I was going to say he was expanding. It looks like he's just sending his expanding engineer over here. He's built his land factory here down below and going to be streaming his units across the map as well. So interesting switches here from Explosive. Is going to continue to produce bombers. I think that's the correct choice here. It's going to shut down the expansion possibilities for his opponent, and you definitely want to expand when your opponent is being kind of defensive in the early game, because essentially this build is aimed at the mid game, where you're prioritizing a rush to the megalith. Of course, it is 8 minutes, so I would say this is a pretty rushing tactic. Of course, it's not the quickest that I've ever seen a megalith being done. But of course, Rexnar has gone for, you know, those anti-air towers, and I think this is definitely, for a 1v1, if you're going megaliths, this is probably a very, very good build. Rexnar, or Explosive, my goodness, I'm in one of those phases, again, where I can't get players' names right, I apologize. It is Explosive at the top. Night of Misfortune. Explosive is going to start bringing more of his planes around. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot for him to bomb here. And looks like in terms of land, he's going to continue producing those tanks and a couple of MMLs, which MMLs will be a little useful for these adapters. And that megalith is going to engage that harassing force there. These two forces aren't super synced up. I like the idea against the slow-moving megalith army, but not quite executed to the best of its ability. There's a patrolling unit here. Very interesting to see. This is something you see in FAF, I think, quite a bit. And I think something that definitely in Supreme Commander 2 could be seen a lot more. Explosive not really moving out of this position, which I think is kind of the correct choice after he's seen the megaliths. So for a while here, it's going to be kind of hard to deal with this megalith, so he has to hunker down and maintain his position here. Rexnar is moving across the map with his 2 megaliths. It's not a huge force. There's only a handful of adapters here, which honestly could be taken out by these 2 air forces. He has plenty of land here. Looks like a 3rd megalith is being built. Actually, a 4th megalith, because the 3rd megalith is over here trying to take care of this harassing force over here. And this air is not really moving. It's not really doing anything. I wonder if he has just forgotten about this air force. Okay, just as I say that, Explosive, of course, starts to move his air. And let's see what he's going to do with it. Nope, looks like he's bringing it back. Not sure what the hesitation there is for. He could scout it, and he will see that there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 adapters there. Not a scary force at all. Neither is this, really. I mean, especially with all of these adapters here, that megalith, 2 megaliths are going to have no trouble dealing with it. Finally brings his bombers for a bombing run. They do have shields, but unfortunately he does not select the correct target here. They are never going to finish off that megalith. They need to take care of the anti-air here and then focus down the megalith, but unfortunately it looks like I was even wrong about them being able to break the shields. No, the shields are going to be falling down, but unfortunately that megalith just has way too much health for this many bombers, and unfortunately every single bomber is going to fall for Explosive here. And Rexnar's army now is looking very, very scary here. There's no shields on those factories. Rexnar is going to continue pushing through those megaliths, starting to target down the main structures of his UEF opponent. That blob is not going to do much here, especially with too many mobile missile launchers here. Rexnar doing a great job microing as well, letting his megaliths kind of soak up a lot of the damage. And at this point there's nothing stopping our yellow commander from moving forward, and I think the outcome of this game becomes ever so clear. So, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, please let me know down in the description what you think Explosive's error was, and I will tell you in just a moment. Pause the video. And of course, Explosive does end up going down. Rexnar managing to push through with the 2 megaliths. So let's start off with what Explosive did absolutely great. He expanded very well, recognizing that his opponent is playing a little bit of a turtle. He does not have air, which on this map is, I think, a mistake not to go air. And he didn't expand, or he expanded rather, and got the mass advantage, which allowed him to spam quite a bit of these factories. But the problem there was that Explosive split himself very, very thinly around the map, which costs him to, of course, engage with lower forces against these megaliths. And of course, just land force against megaliths is not very good. You need to have at least some kind of shields on these factories, but especially when you're engaging little blobs with the megaliths at different points, it's very, very difficult. So Explosive just spread himself way too thin, and I normally tell people, you know, you want to expand to all these places, but you still have to, you know, counter the strategy as well, because if you don't, you're just going to engage with blobs one by one while his superior force takes them out. So it's very, very difficult. And of course, at the very end, engaging with the planes, bombing the wrong target, I think he could have taken out the adapters first, and then the megaliths could have been prime targets for the bombing runs. So just a little bit of mistakes there, Explosive. If you're watching this, maybe you will take that into account. I know you are a great player because I've played with you a couple of times, so I know you are still learning the game, obviously quite a bit different from Fav, but nevertheless, very nicely played by both players, and congratulations to Rexnar. Let's go ahead and jump into the second game and see what happened there. Game 2 was played on Wedell Island, a map that is played very, very commonly by players. Rexnar choosing to go with Aeon, dropping down to 2 air factories. By the way, they've spawned in the not correct positions, but that's okay. We're going to give them a break. And Explosive is our Cyberman player with 1 air and 1 naval. I'm going to be moving forward to build up his expansions. Rexnar manages to mount quite a bit of ships here and pushes forward, trying to take out the air force of his opponent, and succeeding, and is going to continue to inflict quite a bit of an economic damage here, taking out a naval factory, the starting base of his opponent, but not quite finishing his opponent because of course the ACU went into the land, and there's quite a bit of anti-air on these Salems, so they are going to take care of that land force. Rexnar manages to scramble a lot of air factories, but unfortunately that is simply not enough against this many Salems, and he does end up leaving the game here, making the score 1-1 and keeping things close in the league table. If you're still watching, give a thumbs up to this video. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you are blown away by it, check out my Patreon page. This has been Nite. Take care and peace out.